The first night that Crystal and I met was at a mutual friend's house
Yes.
around the holidays. The first thing Crystal said to me about this group of women was that you ladies were not intelligent.
Damn.
Nobody was educated and you're very shallow.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 13, Episodes 13 and 14. Yes, it's a double recap because your girl has been booked and busy and very blessed. So, I'm playing catch up. But Beverly Hills continues to give what the other girls were supposed to have gave, because these last two episodes were everything, and Beverly Hills always gets the best trips. But Miss 8.5 and Erika, you guys both tried it repeatedly throughout both episodes, and the way I have quite a lot to say, because you guys are wearing me thin. But y'all, without further ado, let's just jump right on into it, because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up episode 13 with everybody packing for Barcelona. Or should I say Barcelona, like Dorit. Now, when they showed that quick scene of Dorit packing, and we see that she's FaceTiming PK because he's in London for business, I just want to know, is it just me, or am I the only one who feels like PK has been traveling for work even more than before? And again, what does PK do that he always has to be in London? So now we jump over to Sutton. She's talking to her assistant, Avi, and we find out that she wants to pack her dear friend Merce Cunningham's ashes because she wants to scatter his ashes in Barcelona. Now we find out that when Sutton was in her 20s, she was living in New York, she worked at Merce Cunningham's dance studios, and he became like a mentor to her, a friend, all wrapped into one. And then she goes on to say that he was one of the most important men in her life. And he was also one of the first people to call her when her dad took his life. Now, while I think that it's beautiful that Sutton wants to honor her dear friend, I would be too afraid to bring somebody's ashes with me on a vacation. I'd be too scared that TSA would lose them or that I might misplace them. So I would have his ashes right in my home where I could see them. That's just me though. So now it's the day of the trip, and we see Garcelle, Erika, and Crystal arrive to the airport first. So now we see Annemarie come, and they're all wondering, how's it going to be between Annemarie and Crystal? And they're actually cordial. They hug each other. It's like nothing even happened. So now when they get on the plane, the way Dorit wears me out, but this time I said, girl, I'm here for it. Dorit had changed into her Chanel pajamas. They were about $1,200. I said, girl, yes. This is what I want to see from my housewives. We will not allow inflation or any of this other foolishness to steal our joy. We will shop and enjoy ourselves and be dressed. So I said, girl, while you wear me out any other time, I was living for that whole Chanel ensemble. That was everything. So they arrive in Barcelona, and when I tell you Barcelona looks so beautiful, I said, yes, I need to be there immediately. Like, Lord willing, sometime this year. Absolutely gorgeous. So they get on the Sprinter van, they're on their way to the villa, and Sutton says that the home is lovely and that all the rooms are gorgeous, but they're still going to draw for rooms. Now we know how it goes when it comes to a Housewives show. Every time they're on a vacation, they always have to play some game, or it has to be some battle about who gets the best room. So anyhow, Sutton changes gears and she's like, let's play a fun game. I have a prize and it's about who knows me the best. So she starts throwing out all these questions. I think the first question was, what are the names of her cats? Erika guesses correctly. She gets a point. Then the second question was, what other car does she have besides her Bentley? And I think Dorit got it right because Sutton has an F-150 truck. So now it was so funny to me because Garcelle was not even trying. And they were all like, Garcelle, if you're Sutton's best friend, you should be winning this game. But Garcelle was checked out. She was like, girl, I don't feel like playing. I was like, okay. I said, I'm going to chalk it up to it being a long travel day and Garcelle has jet lag and doesn't feel like playing. But Erika ends up winning the game and she wins a tiara from Sutton's store. Now, Garcelle, that was shade when you said, oh, is the tiara from Dolce & Gabbana? And when Sutton said, no, it's from my store. And then you were like, oh. And I just said, damn, girl. So they all arrived to the villa and the villa is gorgeous. It was built in the 14th century. And now we also find out that this villa is haunted. Now, me personally, I get scared way too easily and I don't play with stuff like that. So hearing that this home was haunted and has spirits, I probably would have checked into a hotel. Now I know that Sutton probably would have been offended, but again, just for me and my peace and my sanity, I most likely would have said, I'm going to see if there's another Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons in Barcelona and stay there. Because I'm not trying to play with spirits in a haunted house. That's just not my vibe. Now, personally, I feel like Erika has been doing too much this entire trip because when she said, oh yeah, I could feel it because I can smell spirits, I can pick up on stuff like that. It's like, girl, do you need attention that bad? It just feels like throughout this trip, Erika has been fishing for a moment. And we'll talk more about that in the next episode because she really tried it at that dinner. But I digress. So now it's time for them to draw for rooms. And in my opinion, I feel like Annemarie, Garcelle, and Crystal got the best rooms in the house. So at this point, everybody's getting ready for their first dinner in Barcelona. And we see Sutton and Garcelle's glam squads with them. Now, personally, for Garcelle, is the glam in the room with us? Because it's no shade. I love Garcelle to death, but I need her fashions to step it up. Because a lot of these looks, that orange confessional look, I'm like, it's not flattering at all. I'm just like, Garcelle, you could just look even that much more amazing. I don't know. I just don't love Garcelle's outfits. And I have not been loving the outfits that she's been wearing in Barcelona. I'm like, girl, what's going on? I feel like Garcelle wasted money bringing a whole glam squad because it's like, girl, you're not really giving us glam on this trip. And I know that I'm not the only one who thinks it because I think that a lot of us are on the same page that yes, we love Garcelle to death, but the outfits, they need to step it up. So now they're in the courtyard right before dinner starts. They're having some drinks, talking, and we see the chef come out. Now the chef is cute. I think his name was Chef Storm, and immediately Garcelle and Erika take a liking to him. They're like, oh, he's cute. I think Garcelle makes a joke saying, we can tag team him. I'll take him tonight. You can have him tomorrow. And Erika's like, oh, absolutely. But one of y'all had me screaming on Twitter because you compared Garcelle to Luann from New York when Luann would act this way every time a man was present. So now they go inside for dinner, and before the first course comes out, Sutton is showing them Merce Cunningham's ashes. So they were all like, girl, that's sweet and all, but when I die, please don't put me in a Ziploc bag. Kyle had me screaming. She said, please, at the very least, put me in a Birkin. And I said, I know that's right. But they're asking Sutton, how did she meet Merce Cunningham? And we find out that she was a studio manager for 6 years, and they really built a bond. He was like her mentor, her good friend, and he was one of the first people to call her when her father passed away. So she goes on to say that with Merce, he didn't judge her, and he actually liked her quirkiness. And you can tell that Sutton really held him in high regard because every time she talks about Merce, she always gets teary-eyed, she gets emotional, and you can see that he really had a big impact on her life. So I always get touched every time she brings him up because, again, you can tell that they really did share a very deep bond. So Chef Storm comes out to bring them the first course, and the first course looks so good. It was smoked salmon with some caviar on top, and the way my mouth was salivating. I said, I need to get on a plane and head on over to Barcelona immediately. And they had the other courses that they brought out looked amazing. That paella in the next episode, if y'all could have seen the way I was drooling at the screen. But they were definitely showing out for Chef Storm because they were eating it all seductively. They're moaning like they're having orgasms. You have Dorit saying, oh, it melts in your mouth. I was like, if y'all don't leave this man alone, I'm sure he has a girlfriend. Now, up until this point, everybody's having a great time. There haven't been any arguments. There's been no drama. No shade has been thrown. But now you have Annemarie about to mess that all up. So she abruptly changes the conversation and she's like, may I say something? Because I want to get something off of my chest. So she brings up how last weekend was a lot. And she says, me and Sutton talked and I hope that we're in a better place. So now Sutton jumps in and she says, we're good when it comes to my esophagus. But what really pissed me off was when you said that I was lonely and insecure. So Sutton goes on to add that that was very offensive because there are 3 divorcees in this group, herself, Garcelle, and Erika, and how she was more lonely in her marriage because her husband always traveled, and then when he did come home, he was sleeping. So Erika chimes in and says that she wasn't offended by Annemarie saying that Sutton is lonely and insecure. And now Garcelle says that she was offended because it's like, how dare you almost trying to jab that just because you don't have a man, then that means that your life isn't complete. And she was upset by that as well. And so Annemarie gives this half-assed apology, and Garcelle's like, girl, if that's your apology, then I don't accept this. And Annemarie, you really do suck at giving apologies because you gave that weak apology in the last episode where you try to say, well, I own my part in things. And it's like, girl, how do you own your part when you started this entire argument between you and Sutton? So now Annemarie says again that she apologizes to anybody in the group if they felt offended or attacked. And now Crystal jumps in, and here's where things go left. Crystal says, oh yeah, well what about when you called me insecure? So now Annemarie gets shady and she's like, oh Crystal, we'll get to you in a minute. I said, girl, I said, baby, you just got on this show. You got on this show as a fan, as a mouthpiece for Kyle Richards. Let's be very clear. I wish Annemarie, Miss 8.5, would try to check me like, baby, it wouldn't be happening. So I guess Annemarie was activated and she wanted a moment. So she says, well, let's talk about me and Crystal, shall we? Me and Crystal met in 2022 at a mutual friend's holiday party. And I said, yeah, I'll bet money that Annemarie was up in Crystal's face begging to be on the show. I can see it now. She was probably asking Crystal all sorts of questions about how Crystal got on and how she would want to be on. I can see it. I can see it because Annemarie reeks of thirstiness and desperation. So here's where things really go left. Annemarie decides that she wants to throw Crystal under the bus, and she says, do you guys know what Crystal told me when I first met her? She told me that you guys are all uneducated and shallow. Now, you already know that everybody is pissed hearing this. So Sutton's like, well, girl, you're not talking about me because I'm very educated. Garcelle also jumps in and she says, we're all educated. Now, Dorit, I already know that Crystal probably wore you out at this reunion because you guys filmed last Friday. Baby, you have got to stop throwing out these microaggressions because what you said in your confessional, I said, oh no. I said, girl, absolutely not. You need to watch what you say. So Dorit says, sweetheart, you are no more educated than anybody. And while we were out in the world educating ourselves and starting businesses, you were getting married at 12, child bride. I said, girl. I said, do you realize the negative connotations with calling Crystal a child bride? I just said, Dorit, you just don't use your head. You don't think. Because why would you say that? And I loved how Crystal read you in her Instagram post the following day when the episode aired. And once again, Dorit, you don't make things easier for yourself when you say things like that. And Miss Mamas, She was 24 when she got married. Is that young? Yes, but she was still a grown-ass adult. So let's not. And say what you want, but Crystal married well. Let's start with that. While you and PK are pretending, Crystal and Rob actually have it like that. Crystal's American Express works, whereas yours is questionable. Okay? We don't hear things about Crystal having to allegedly sell her items on Poshmark to get some money. We don't hear about that. All those rumors keep following you. Crystal and Rob aren't constantly selling houses and then staying in rentals. So not too much about Miss Crystal, because Crystal's money is very long and you can't say the same thing. So now Garcelle turns to Crystal and she says, look, did you say that about us or not? So now Crystal says, I'm insulted that you would even ask me that. No, I didn't say that. Now, Miss Crystal, you weren't that convincing, because even I had a side eye for you. And when production played that clip back of you saying that they weren't that educated when you first got on this show, I said, yeah, girl, that does not help your case. Also, when Crystal first came on this show, she made it a point to say that she was very frugal with money. She wasn't frivolous. So I do believe that she might have said in passing, oh, you know, they're cool and all, but they're a bit shallow. I do think that she said that. And even Garcelle points out that there is a history with Crystal acting like she's smarter than all of them. And they played the clips back and it checks out. So now Annemarie continues to make things worse. And she brings up how Crystal allegedly said that they're fake socialites, they're wannabes. And now Sutton interrupts and she's like, not me. I'm an actual socialite. So you have Dorit saying in her confessional that she believes Annemarie and that Crystal probably did say this because that's her excuse for being boring. Now, Miss Dorit, not too much, because you've been coasting for several years on this show. So not too much about Crystal's boring, because girl, you're boring too. The only time you're relevant is when you're saying something ignorant and putting your foot in your mouth. It was clear to me that Annemarie came on this trip with an agenda to get some camera time and to have a big moment. Because when she goes on to say, well, girl, you have this need to feel like you're better than other people. And I was just like, I don't get that impression from Crystal. While I do think that Crystal can exhibit some insecure behaviors, I don't feel like she has this need to feel better. I really don't. If anything, I feel like Crystal is insecure about not fitting in. Crystal was holding her own. She said, may I have some examples, please? Because we've only met 6 times. So how you're analyzing me like this is beyond me. Because I don't even know you like that, sis. Annemarie was really pissing me off the way she kept interrupting Crystal. Because at one point, Crystal tried to ask Dorit a question and Annemarie jumped in. So Crystal's like, girl, shut up and let me talk. So you have Annemarie still calling Crystal insecure. And now Crystal at this point is like, okay, you want to play this game? Then let's play. You want to call me insecure, but yet you're the same one saying that you're a doctor when you're really a nurse. And I said, whack her again for me, please.
I'm just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
Because Annemarie is trying it. And I'm glad that Crystal let her know, like, okay, girl, you want to say this, but you're the one out here lying about your title. So you have Annemarie trying to play the victim, and she's like, oh, there she goes again. She keeps trying to degrade my profession. Really? And I said, stop making yourself out to be the victim, because you're not. Crystal is not degrading your profession, you clown. She's simply pointing out the fact that you're not being honest about your title. If you've been going around saying that you're a doctor and you're a nurse, that's a big difference. Is it not? Let me know. I have a lot of subscribers who are doctors and nurses. Shout out to y'all. But let me know. Is Crystal wrong for calling out Annemarie? Because I don't think she is. And Annemarie, I saw you give that explanation on Watch What Happens Live when Andy asked you, were you calling yourself a doctor? Is what Crystal's saying true? And you gave that long-winded response. And Dr. Tiffany Moon from The Real Housewives of Dallas checked you about that. She was like, oh girl, don't blame Crystal on anything. You're out here pretty much not being honest about your title. Don't blame anybody else but yourself. It's just so irritating that she kept saying it throughout this episode and the next episode that Crystal was degrading her profession. Annemarie, you started all this mess between you, Crystal, and Sutton, and now you want to sit up here and act like they're doing something to you? That's not what this is. You're in the wrong. And if you were saying that you're a doctor when that's not the case, then I'm glad that Crystal is calling you out for lying. Somebody degrading your career, that would be, they're making fun of it. They're speaking down on your profession. That's what it means to degrade somebody's career. She's not doing that. She's simply calling out the fact that you have not been honest, that you're not a doctor, you're a nurse. And again, there is nothing wrong with that. But all she's saying is just be honest and stop saying that you're a doctor when you're not. And Crystal clocked it because she said Annemarie wants to act like she's just so fun and so sweet, but she's actually not. She's antagonistic and she's divisive, and she is. Because she came in here with an agenda to be Kyle's mouthpiece. So she already knew going in that she had to act out in order to get some camera time and to get a pat on the back from Kyle. And Annemarie, that's a dumb game to play because the way Kyle will switch up on you immediately, especially when some conflict happens. So I don't know why you're going so hard for Kyle when she wouldn't do the same for you. So at this point, the dinner has pretty much been ruined. Sutton is trying to get them to calm down. And now you have Annemarie say, well, you know what, Crystal? You should be thanking me because I made your ass relevant again. And I just said, girl, what? You just got on this show this season. And also, let's be clear. You came on this show 6 episodes in. Crystal has been on this show now for 4 seasons. So how in the world did you make Crystal relevant? And if you want to play this game, sis, you need to be thanking Sutton and her esophagus because they made you relevant this season. Because that's all you've been talking about for 6 episodes straight. Not only is Annemarie a super fan, but she's very delusional, very unlikable, and she's just not that girl. And Bravo, please do us all a favor, and please do not ask her to come back next season because she brings nothing. And Annemarie, how long did it take you to write that? Because you could tell that she felt so pleased with herself when she said that. I said, girl, stop. Y'all, I am so tired of these fans coming on these shows. Like, I really am. Because between Annemarie, Monica Garcia from SLC, we're getting a whole bunch of fans. And it's not fun. So dinner is officially over. They get in bed. And now we see the next day, they're all getting ready. And we have Sutton and Crystal having a conversation about last night. And Dorit and Erika also talking about what went down at dinner. So now we see Dorit asking Erika if she believes Annemarie. And they both say that they think that Annemarie isn't lying. And Erika goes on to say, look, we all say stuff about each other when we're upset. But if we're just so uneducated and so shallow, then why are you in this group? And I said, now, Erika, let's not act like you guys have not been called worse. You were sitting up there calling Crystal, Sutton, and Garcelle everything but a child of God for the last 2 seasons when they were questioning you about this case. So please miss me with all this, oh my gosh, well, why would she say that about us? Why is she in this group then? Because you've said a lot worse. Now, when we cut back to Crystal and Sutton talking, Sutton is like, girl, why did you allow Annemarie to call you a liar last night? You didn't even speak up for yourself. So Crystal says, you know what? I didn't even care anymore. It wouldn't have made a difference. And I said, Crystal, now here's the thing. You've got to learn how to stay in the fight. You give up a bit too easily. And honestly, I feel like you gave up so easily because you knew that you said it. And while I don't like Annemarie, I don't see it for her in the least bit. I do feel like she was being honest about what you said years ago. I do. Because you do have a history of being a bit shady about their intelligence. We caught you in that confessional some years back saying, oh, they're savvy women, but I wouldn't call them intelligent. But I have to say, it always tickles me every time I see Sutton and Crystal getting along, because we all remember that last season and the season before last, Crystal and Sutton did not see it for each other at all. They were always at each other's throats, going back and forth. So to see them getting along now, you have Sutton trying to give Crystal advice and hugging her. I'm like, baby, if you would have told me that you guys would actually be close now, I would have never believed you. So now we see all the ladies together and Sutton is giving them the rundown for the day. So she says that they're going to go to an old church and set their intentions and pray, and then they're going to have lunch in town. So all of a sudden, Erika interrupts and she says that she has good news. Erika reads this news article about how she won the appeal to get her diamond earrings back. I just said, girl, these victims lost every single penny that they had fooling with your ex-husband, and you're talking about winning these earrings back is a win. It really feels like Erika has no soul, but it shows you that she just loves things that much that she doesn't even have any regard for other people. I said it's in such poor taste. And the way everybody stared at her and they were all like, oh, okay, like, great news, I guess. And you have Erika saying, I'm really hurt and upset at the fact that nobody's really happy for me. This is a big win for me. They had all that to say 2 years ago, but now it's crickets. I said, girl, nobody's celebrating this. And Kyle is somebody who blows with the wind. Kyle says that Erika feels vindicated because all these ladies judged her. I said, Kyle, were you not the same one judging Erika too? Did you not have questions? When you had that dinner party and you were asking her all those questions about the case, you also had things to say, but now you want to shift blame and say, oh yeah, everybody else was judging Erika, but not me. It almost feels like Kyle is afraid of Erika and now she wants to kiss her ass. Because I'm confused as to how Kyle could sit there and act like Erika is now a victim when she also had questions just like everybody else did. And also, Kyle, if somebody is being indicted for a huge scam that left millions of people in ruins, wouldn't you have questions for them as well? So why are you acting like the other women were wrong for questioning Erika? And I loved when Garcelle said, I wish that Erika would let these earrings go and just give the money to the victims. Why is that so hard? But I said, you know what, Garcelle? That sounds too much like right. And also with Erika, she has no empathy or concern for anybody that isn't her. She's made it clear that she's trying to rebuild her life, rebuild her finances, and be rich again. And she could give a damn about anybody else. And the way Erika kept going on about how she needs them to acknowledge that she was right and that what she said would happen, happened. And I said, girl, you're not going to get that, so leave it alone. The people in hell want ice water, and guess what? They're not getting it. So just drop it. If you want praise and a celebration, pat yourself on the back and buy yourself a cake and let that be it. But you're not getting any big congratulations or any hoopla over here. So now the group breaks off into 2 vans to head to the church. And as they're on their way there, the roads in Barcelona are super narrow and super windy. And Crystal is getting sick. So Crystal's like, I have to get out this car. I feel sick, like I'm about to throw up, like get me out of here. So we see that the van pulls over to the side and Crystal is at the side of the road. Her veins are popping out. Her hands are swollen. Her face is flushed and they're all scared like, girl, what's going on? Crystal's worried that she's having a stroke. So now Annemarie walks over to check on Crystal, and even Annemarie's like, oh my gosh, like this is serious. We need to call up the ambulance because she's sick. So we end the episode with Kyle saying, well, isn't it funny how the universe works? Because last night they were at each other's throats, and now all of a sudden today, Crystal is at Annemarie's mercy. Now, Kyle, let me just check you quickly, because how is Crystal at Annemarie's mercy? It wasn't like she needed Annemarie to administer anything. She was waiting for an ambulance. So why are you acting like, oh, Crystal, if Annemarie doesn't help her, then she's going to be on death's door? I just said, You really can't help yourself, Kyle. Kyle always has something very snide, very snarky to say, and it pisses me off badly. So we jump right on into episode 14 with Crystal being ill. They're waiting on the ambulance. And you have Annemarie being smug, saying that this whole situation is ironic because now Crystal needs her help after she degraded her last night. And I said, Annemarie, stop saying that Crystal degraded you. She did not do that. She simply pointed out that you're a nurse and not a doctor. That's it. That's all. But stop trying to act like you're a victim because you're not. So now the ambulance comes and they check her blood pressure. So Crystal's blood pressure was something crazy. It was like 177 over 108. I was like, damn. But I was glad that they got medical attention for her immediately because I was worried. And she's whisked off to the hospital immediately. And now everybody else is at the church. So they're all at the church, and the church is beautiful. We see them all lighting candles. They're praying, setting intentions. And of course, Erika is running her mouth about how she grew up Catholic, how she had a chapel in her old house. And then she brings up how her intentions today are to rebuild and be prosperous. I said, I'm sure that is. Because you don't care about anybody but yourself. So now she brings it up again about how she's happy about the appeal, but she's sad that none of the women congratulated her on this good news. I said, Erika, I'm going to tell you just like this. Nobody gives a damn about you and these damn earrings. So let this go. If you're happy for yourself, then that's all that matters. But the fact that you want all this praise and a party because you're getting some earrings back that could easily go back to the victims to help them out, you sound crazy. And then her adding how that really hurt her a lot. I said, girl, grow up. So now we see a tender moment between Kyle and Sutton. They're sitting down in the pews and they're talking about Sutton's dad and Kyle's friend. So Sutton says that her friend had a dream about her dad recently and he told her that he was tired. And now Kyle shares how she went to a psychic and the psychic shared that her friend said she had no idea what happened that led her down that same road of taking her life. So now at this point, they're both emotional and now Sutton apologizes for not being a better friend to Kyle. So I said, now, Sutton, I don't know what it is about you needing Kyle's friendship, but I have officially washed my hands of it. I cannot make you see that Kyle does not like you that much. You are obsessed with being Kyle's friend. Kyle has given you her ass to kiss time and time again, and you're apologizing to her? I was just so confused. I said, why are you apologizing to Kyle? As badly as Kyle has treated you, why are you saying sorry for not being a better friend? She hasn't been a good friend to you at all. She's thrown you under the bus several times. She's always yelling at you, belittling you, cursing at you. But yet you're apologizing. And of course, Kyle can never own up to what she does. So she's like, oh, thank you so much, Sutton. That means a lot. I said, okay, girl, you can apologize to her. Kyle is always a victim. I can't stand it. And Sutton, it's really bizarre to me how you keep chasing after Kyle's friendship when Kyle makes it clear that she does not see it for you. And the way I was rolling my eyes hearing Sutton say that she just hated being in a bad place with Kyle because her and Kyle have so much fun together and she adores Kyle and their friendship. I said, girl, you're in a one-sided love affair because the way Kyle treats you like an associate, Kyle treats you like she could take you or leave you. You're the only one who's invested in that friendship. But if you want to act like that's your good friend, then so be it. But I said I wash my hands of it because when Kyle drags you again, I don't want to see any tears. Just when I thought that it had finally clicked in Sutton's head that Kyle is not her friend, here I am disappointed. So now they leave the church and now they are on their way into town. And as they're in the car, Crystal FaceTimes them with an update. She's in the hospital, she's on an IV drip, and she feels a lot better. And I was happy to hear that because that has to suck to be on a beautiful vacation and then you get sick like that. So they arrive into town and they're greeted by their tour guide, Manolo. Now, Manolo was so cute. He was so full of life and energy. You have Kyle asking, where's the nearest Hermes store? I said, Kyle, I was just like, girl, can you just enjoy the sights for like 2 minutes? So now they sit down at this really nice restaurant for some lunch. And it was funny because Annemarie's husband and kids had FaceTimed her. So when she picked up the phone, she was like, oh, hey, daddy. So now they all start laughing. And now everybody's asking if they ever called their husband's daddy. So Erika makes a joke saying that she never called Tom daddy when they were married, but she has called these new guys daddy. And I said, girl, I could have told you that. We know you were not calling Tom daddy. If you called him anything, it was either pop, or grandpa. Did y'all even have sex in that marriage? Because that definitely gave a sexless marriage. So here's where Annemarie is being annoying yet again. She brings up the whole situation with Crystal last night, and she says that her degrading her profession really hurt her feelings. So now you have Erika jumping in and she says, well, with what happened today, she will never say that to you again. And I said, well, y'all stop acting like Crystal is the villain. All Crystal said was, you're not a doctor, you're a nurse. That's all she said. Why y'all are trying to blow this out of proportion like Crystal was wrong for saying that is beyond me. And Annemarie, stop trying to milk this. Now, I'm not going to hold you. I was a bit caught off guard when Garcelle interrupted and brought up the issues between her and Dorit about what happened at Taco Tuesday. She says, me and Dorit had a big hiccup. She used a word that triggered me, but we got over it. So now Dorit shares her background of how she's also been through discrimination because growing up, her family was the only Jewish family in the neighborhood. So she goes on to say, in no way am I trying to compare what we've both been through, but I can relate. Then she goes on to add that if she ever says something that's triggering, that she wants Garcelle to call her out immediately so that way she can correct herself. Now, they share a big hug, and that's all nice and well and good, but I do feel like you take several steps back when you say things like child bride, referring to Crystal. You still have a long way to go. So as they're wrapping up lunch, Sutton informs them that for dinner, she has her friends joining her. So she says that these are her friends that she made when she was working at the Merce Cunningham Studios, and her friend Trevor now lives in Barcelona as well. And they were like, okay, girl, that's nice and all, but can we do some shopping first? And Sutton was like, no, we don't have time. And they said, no, girl, we're doing some shopping. Now, Kyle and Dorit are me when it comes to shopping, because I would have said, now, I did not come all this way to not buy some stuff. And I was screaming because you saw Sutton, Dorit, and Kyle in this gorgeous antique fan shop. Dorit bought like 7 fans. Then we see in the next store, I think it was Garcelle, Annemarie, and Erika, they're in a jewelry shop. Now, I don't know if Garcelle didn't have her credit cards with her, she only had cash, but the woman says, oh no, we don't take that, but we do accept American Express. I said, I know that's right. So Erika pulls out her card and she says, Garcelle, don't worry about it, I got it. Now, in this moment, it reminded me of SLC. If you watch this season, then you remember in the finale episode when they were shopping in Bermuda, Heather forgot her credit card, so she had Monica pay for her perfume. So the ladies are back at the villa and they check on Crystal. Crystal says that she feels a lot better. She plans on taking it easy tonight. She's not going to drink. And I was like, girl, I don't think anybody would expect you to drink after what just happened earlier on. And we're glad that you're okay. I thought it was a sweet moment when Crystal and Annemarie shared a big hug, and then Crystal said, I'm really glad that we were able to put away our differences and that Annemarie was able to help me. I mean, honestly, this argument between you guys is not that deep. If Annemarie would stop being so thirsty, you guys could actually be good friends. But I don't think that you guys are on a good track now because you guys are still throwing shade at each other in real time. Because I saw Crystal's recent interview on E! News and the shade that she threw Annemarie. She was just like, she's under some weird impression that I'm jealous of her, and that could not be any further from the truth. I was like, okay, Crystal. So everybody's getting glammed up for dinner. We see Sutton's friends arrive, and I loved how Sutton had a nice group of friends. They really seemed sweet. They were fun, especially her friend Trevor. So now, as they're waiting for dinner to start in the courtyard, we see Erika come out first, and she is good and drunk because when she was getting glammed up, she was throwing those drinks back. So I was like, okay, she's good and lit, and Lord knows what's going to come out of her mouth at this dinner. But Erika is talking and mingling with Sutton's friends. She's like, oh my gosh, I just love Sutton. Isn't she such a beautiful soul? Dorit was like, oh, Erika is drunk because she never talks like that. Now, Chef Storm is back. He's making paella, but this time he brought his father with him, and his father is also a chef. Now, the way Garcelle was flirting hard with the dad, she said, oh, forget about the son. Like, it's all about me and the daddy. I was like, Garcelle, girl. And I mean, the dad was cute, but I just said, Garcelle is really channeling her inner Luann because Luann acts like this from New York. Luann and Sonia. I'm not going to hold you. During this scene, the star of the night for me was that seafood paella. My mouth was watering. Now, I had paella when I was in Mexico, and the way I tore it up, it was delicious. So I can only imagine how good that seafood paella was in Barcelona. So it's time for them to all have dinner, and they're all joking around. Dorit makes a joke saying, oh my gosh, I want to hear all the dirty, salacious details about Sutton. What was she like back in the day? Trevor's like, oh, Sutton was just so mean. She was so awful. They're all laughing. And now all of Sutton's friends are going around the table talking about themselves. One of the women, her name was Monica. She was from Philly. So she was like, oh, I'm from the city of Beanie Siegel. So Erika's like, oh my gosh, I love Beanie Siegel. Like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like, I love him. Everybody else was like, oh, I have no idea who he is. I said, yeah, I'm not surprised. Especially Dorit. I feel like the only black people that Dorit knows offhand, besides Garcelle and Annemarie, probably Beyonce, Rihanna. And it's no shade, but I know good and well that Dorit had no idea who Beanie Siegel was. I think that Monica was better off saying that she's from the city of Patti LaBelle. And hopefully Dorit knows who Patti LaBelle is. May I be really honest? I felt like Erika was annoying. I didn't think that the drunk antics were cute in the least bit. It felt like Erika was purposely doing this just for a moment, just to get the attention on her. And Erika, at your age, you should know what your limit is. If you know that you can only handle 1 or 2 drinks, then let that be your limit. But getting shit-faced like that and then trying to dominate the entire conversation the whole night, that was so aggravating. Because at one point, she was like, may I just say something? Merce is in a Ziploc bag. And the way they all were silent, I said, Erika, just stop. And it was also clear that Erika was trying to flex how intelligent she was. Because at one point, you had a couple who were architects, and Erika kept interrupting them. And then the other friend there, who was born in Sacramento, but she grew up in Lebanon, when Erika would not stop trying to interrupt, that drove me insane. I said, Erika, let the woman talk. It's not about you trying to prove that you're smart and you know all about Lebanon. Like, it's enough already. We want to hear her. We don't need to hear you. because the woman was saying how she was there when they had the civil war in Beirut. You have Erika interrupting. She's like, oh yeah, because that happened and that happened. And by the way, are you Muslim or are you Christian? Because I know that in Lebanon you have Muslim and Christian, like, what are you? And then she started naming all these other facts. And I'm like, Erika, that's beautiful that you're intelligent and you're well-read and you know about world affairs, but let the woman speak. It's not about you trying to prove to everybody that you're actually smart. That's great and all, but again, it's not about you.
I was told that Beirut is almost like Los Angeles in the sense that it was the sea to the mountains in the snow.
Exactly.
Still civil war there, yeah?
I don't know what happens to Erika when she gets drunk, but she suddenly becomes like the world's oracle.
And Miss Erika, that little shade that you threw about Brooklyn, because when you guys were asking Sutton where did she live when she was in New York, and she said, oh, I was in Brooklyn, and then Erika's like, oh, Brooklyn? What a dump. And I said, girl, don't do that. Because, honey, if you knew how expensive Brooklyn was, you would not be saying that it's a dump. I said, again, girl, you're talking out of turn. Keep your mouth shut. It was just clear that Erika wanted to have the attention on her. It almost feels like Erika's not happy when things are not about her. And everybody at the table was surprised at Erika's knowledge, because Garcelle goes on to ask Erika, who is she right now? And then Crystal says that every time Erika gets drunk, she turns into some oracle. And while that's cute, Erika's being obnoxious. There's no other way to say it. Maybe I'm viewing it in the wrong way, but I just felt like Erika was doing too much at that dinner. And luckily, they all had a great sense of humor about it. But I feel like if Erika were around other people, they would have checked her about being drunk and just spewing out all this stuff. I wasn't that amused by it. I thought that she was being annoying. So dinner is over, and I don't know why I'm so surprised every single time when they go right to bed after dinner, because I remember back in the day when they would go to dinner and then also go out to a club. And now these women, it's like, okay, they're on vacation and then it's just dinner and then that's it. And I'm like, y'all can't muster up some energy to go out to a club after? Like, it just feels so boring. Because I know for me, after dinner, I want to go out. Now, I will say that I was happy that we finally got a dinner that was fun and there wasn't any drama. Nobody was shading each other or cursing anybody out. They all were on their best behavior for the most part in front of Sutton's friends. So now it's the next morning and Sutton is going to everybody's room delivering flowers because she wants them all to wear them around their necks while she scatters Merce's ashes. And a quick side note, I was living for Sutton's Gucci pajamas. They were so cute. Now, mind you, Sutton is in good spirits at this point. She's handing off the flowers to everybody. And now we end the episode with Sutton in her room and she's having a breakdown. She's like, you know what? I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I'm just emotional right now. Kyle walks into her room and she's like, Sutton, what's going on? Are you okay? And Sutton's like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. It reminds me so much of my dad. So we find out why Sutton is so emotional. She says that when she lost her dad, they each got some of his ashes. And because she was always moving so much with her ex-husband, she lost his ashes. Then she also goes on to say that on top of that, Merce was one of the first people to call her when her father died. And then on top of that, it also feels like she's scattering her marriage's ashes. So she's broken up at this point. Kyle was actually being a decent friend and comforting her. I said, well, thank God, Kyle. Happy to know that you actually do care about her a little bit, because any other time, I feel like Kyle does not care. So Sutton goes on to say that for a long time, she was very angry about her divorce. She says that before they got divorced, she had said, okay, we're going to have a trial separation. We'll live separately, but still go to marriage counseling to save our marriage. And she goes on to say that she felt blindsided because once he moved out the house, he filed for divorce. Honestly, it seems like Sutton was in a very shitty marriage And I get the impression that her ex-husband was not a nice man at all. It feels like she suffered the majority of that marriage. And I really hope that she finds true love the second time around, because I do feel sorry that she dealt with so much. It seems like the only thing that she had in her marriage was money. And don't get me wrong, money is amazing, it's fabulous, that's great. But the fact that that was the only thing, she didn't have any love, he didn't respect her, he wasn't nice to her. I mean, she didn't have anything else but that. And then he didn't even spend time with her, he was always gone. I really do feel for Sutton. But we end the episode with Sutton saying that she has a lot of repressed emotions about her dad's death, Merce's death, and her marriage, but she has to let it go and be that 24-year-old girl again when she was living in New York. And so we ended with Kyle giving her a big hug, and we see in the trailer for the next episode that Sutton does follow through with the ceremony, and she does scatter Merce's ashes, but the ashes blow back on her in her white pants. So that's going to be a mess. But y'all, that was my double recap. Once again, Beverly Hills is giving what the other girls were supposed to have gave, in the words of Rolling Ray. Now, before y'all curse me out in those comments, I did not forget about Miami. Just give me a few more days, all right? Like, I got you. It's just been busy. But I promise you I have not forgotten, all right? But y'all, thank you for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.